I just got serenaded there at the end, Nigel Thomas. You couldn't help but join in.
I do enjoy doing the... I do enjoy that.
It's got a lot of hooks in it.
The other thing I was thinking while listening to that was someone listening to this podcast for the first time thinking, oh, that's a nice music and comedy podcast. That sounds heartwarming, and it's Christmas as well. And there's us talking about Michael Jackson being a paedophile and me saying, shut up and listen. They'd be very upset.
We've broken our rule that we weren't going to do paedophile jokes yet again every episode. You know what? I bet that reminded me of the 50s, of Back to the Future, when he goes back to the ball under the sea.
It was released in 1957, so I'm glad it made you...
Boom. Got the right era.
That's not when it was number one, though.
And I think I'm like modern day. There's a rapper called Machine Gun Kelly who's dating Megan Fox. And that's the thing, isn't it?
I admire her acting skills. Let me tell you that.
And there's a hint of sarcasm in your voice.
No. You see her in Transformers.
Lots of running and screaming.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like gangster rap and so I'm out of date, aren't I? I don't know what kids are into these days, but like back in the 50s, the singers like that, I imagine they'd be clean cut, wearing a suit, hair slicked back.
Yeah.
So hasn't things changed? Because now to be sort of a rock star or a pop star, you need to be edgy and alternative. Well, you don't actually.
I suppose, but in those days, even that was edgy and alternative, wasn't it? Rock and roll was considered very edgy, and
was it?
Yeah, it wasn't allowed. It wasn't allowed on the radio. That's
really?
why there were the pirate radio stations. You'd have to have the jazz, and then cause they didn't want to play that. They, thought it was.
What would they have thought
Satan's
of Nicki
music
Minaj? Like
they would have disapproved, I think, of young Nicki. Yeah,
with her shaking her booty and doing a.
So that's just the way it rolls, isn't it? And then one day Nicki will seem very tame and.
What's coming up? What's going to happen the 50s was 60, 70 years ago. Bloody hell.
Yeah.
What's it going to be like in 60, 70 years from now?
Who knows? Or dares to dream, Louis.
Or maybe, these things go in cycles and maybe we'll go back to a clean cut.
It's possible, isn't it?
Well.
We'll be in a sort of Handmaid's Tale kind of Gilead.
Now, I like that tune, but, however, when we started this podcast, I thought you would be playing a lot of rock tunes because I think of you as like an indie rock musician. This one,
Louis, but this podcast isn't about me. It's about you. I'm trying to help you with different music and showing you different things. It's not called rock music Natters, is it? Or indie music Natters. It's called music.
I suppose it just wasn't what I was expecting, and I imagine for some of the listeners as well. So I'm sort of being the voice of the listener. So you're basically trying to educate me in like music history, basically give me the full education by playing some of these sort of oldies.
Yeah, it's broad. Trying to give you a bit of broad knowledge of the Christmas number one.
But is this not going to just sort of scare off the listeners? Like if the first tune in, and
you think Jackie Wilson, Reek Petite is going to scare off our listeners?
Yeah, but we've had a couple of duds,
100-year listeners.
You know what I mean? Like, where was the Slade? What's the other one?
It's the third. Where's all the glam song in, Louis?
All right, okay, but that means what? We only got two more.
God forbid! Imagine you picking the songs for this.
Well, it'd be Whamageddon for a start.
Well, exactly. It would be Christmas. It would be a dark day for everyone. We can't just do all the stuff that everyone knows, can you?
Guess my favourite. Guess my favourite Christmas tune that just popped into my head. I'll give you a clue.
Okay.
Remind me if I'm having seen a moment
you
and
told
I
me
did
this
it last time.
Yeah. You did this last time.
Go on.
No, you haven't really. I don't know. Go on.
The tune, Christmas tune, and they managed to slip in 2 swear words into the chorus.
The Pogues?
It's Christmas time. Don't let the bells end.
Okay. The Darkness.
Just let them ring in peace.
Okay.
Yeah. I think I may have mentioned that last year.
Because that rocks, and that's very sort of hairspray type music, which is your...
You see, that
hasn't been a Christmas number one, so...
Well, it should have been.
Can't be on the list, can it?
Well,
that terrifying song that you think has scared off people, that was Jackie Wilson.
Well, this is the best one so far, I would say.
Oldest artist to have a Christmas number one, although I'm not sure it counts.
He's got a youthful voice, though.
Well, he was younger when that was recorded. That was in 1957.
Right.
And he was... I don't know if it counts, really, because he was dead by the time it was a number one. He died in the age of 49 in 1984, but in 1986, it became 3 years after his death, it became a Christmas number one. when he would have been 52, so he was not old anyway.
What are you talking about? How can he be the oldest artist if he died shortly after it was... What do you mean by oldest artist?
Well, he would have been. It was the Christmas #1, and had he been alive, he would have been 52. So I think even at 49, it's the oldest.
Right, he's 49 years old when he sung that song.
No, he was younger than that because it was in 1957.
Right, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Basically, he was young, he recorded a song, he released it. Years later, he died. 3 years after that, it was a Christmas #1.
Yeah, but I mean, he's not the oldest. He's like the deadest artist. Oh, okay, wait, no, go on. I think to be the oldest artist, you need to actually be alive.
I'd be asking, well, why was it a #1 after he died? These are the questions he should be asking.
Why was it a #1 after he died?
Excellent question, Lou. It's because of a clay animation video of him singing it for a BBC documentary series, Arena. And the reissued version was so popular that it became a #1 single, selling 700,000 copies. It's 4 weeks at #1. That's a lot of copies. And it became the UK's Christmas... 29 years after it first entered the charts, it became Christmas #1. 29 years.
You know what it reminds me of? Do you ever see that advert with when you're saying about the animation thing? There was the like raisins or the like the raisins and it was the whole load of like raisins where they were like potato heads and they were singing in a sort of barber shop.
I vaguely remember that. Yeah.
I can't remember what they're singing, but probably like
the raisins,
raisins or whatever. Sun blessed or whatever.
Yeah. Anyway. Why are you mentioning that?
Well, similar music was in the advert and animation. So
singing.
They're probably some advertising exec just ripped off the thing and to make the advert. Yes.
I'll do a cheeky link to the clay animation video. In fact, we should have watched that, shouldn't we? Instead of listening to it, we should watch the animation. Well, you can watch it in your own time.
Yeah, we'll put a link in there, and we'll put a link as well to the clay animation Nigel Thomas tune.
No, I will. I will indeed.
Because maybe 3 years after your death, that will become a hit.
Probably will. I should fake my own death, really, shouldn't I?
Yes, please.
Bit of popularity.
I mean, why fake it? Just go the full hog and do the world a favour.
And you say I'm dark, Louis. You are complaining they're putting people off, and you're talking about me committing suicide. This is a Christmas podcast. Festive, goodwill to all men. And what you have just done,
so
Louis,
pleased, aren't you? You're pointing your finger, you're delighted. Like, turning the tables.
That you have put your foot.
Let the listeners decide.
In this suicidal...
Well, listen, if we're gonna down this route, where is my phone? I've dropped it.
Oh dear, Louis. It's the way you tell them.
We have a listener letter. What did I do with it? I had it moments ago.
Look, it's down by your feet, you idiot.
Right. So the last episode was end of November, October, Halloween, right?
Yes.
So my friend Dan, new listener to the podcast.
Your friend.
Because we had the bright idea this month to actually promote the podcast, didn't we? We invited Facebook friends and so on, and we've had letters, and here is one.
Is he
a
real friend or acquaintance? How do you know him?
It's one of my oldest friends, I would say.
Right.
Now, where was the? We'll have to edit this down.
Oh, I'm going to edit this down, mate.
Where do I find messages in this?
Louis, with your computer science degree, where do you find messages in Instagram? Here.
Actually, I think it's the face.
Look, I'll show you.
Oh, yeah, you're absolutely right. Here it is. Hang on. I did have it up and then it disappeared. Right, here we go. So we've slightly lost the energy there, but it won't take long when we're poking fingers at each other.
Read the message, Louis.
Dan Martin says, I very much enjoyed this episode.
Yep, good.
That's Halloween one.
Great. Why bother reading anymore? Enjoyed it. Thanks, move on.
But missed a good 5 minutes in the middle as I couldn't hear it over my own voice shouting, Nigel Thomas, it's not Mike Myers in Friday the 13th. It's Jason bloody Voorhees. Yeah. I may have pronounced that wrong. Now he's probably going to be shouting, Louis, it's not Voorhees, it's Voorhees or whatever.
You won't be listening to this now.
Right. Anyway, he wears a hockey mask, but only after the third film. Before that, he's got a bag on his head. He takes the mask off. We must have been talking about the masks in the last anyway. And he goes on. But anyway, so otherwise, solid show. Thanks. So there we go. So Nigel, get your facts right.
I that's about film and stuff. I only mentioned it briefly. It's music I'm talking about.
Right, so no apology from Nigel Thomas.
No apology.
Getting facts wrong. Well, anyway, Dan Martin is also an expert in horror films and does special effects for them, and does a podcast himself. So listen to the Arrow Films podcast.
I thought you didn't want to mention other podcasts on this podcast, but now you've got a friend. Now you want to mention it.
Well, we don't need to compete over other bits of the pie. Let's get together and make a bigger pie.
No, I want all the pie.
Well, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't recommend like mainstream podcasts, but like other cool alternative,
like the Adam Buxton podcast. That's very good.
Okay, does that count as alternative? He was quite big back in the day, but
he
was an influence on us, wasn't he? We did like that. Joe and it was Adam and Joe. Yes. Right. I've got more letters, but I'll have to find them.
Right, let's do another song then, Louis.
Okay.
This should make you happy, Louis. Here we go.